What's going on, everybody? So now that the football season is here, I can officially say that we will now have Browns After Dark Sunday night, Monday night, and if that is not enough for you, we got another one on Thursday. So if you've ever said to yourself, hey, I wonder where I can meet with people and talk about the Browns, that is the place for you. Check us out at Browns After Dark on Twitter. The link will be in the description down below. Times will also be posted on that Twitter page, so be sure to give us a follow, turn on your notifications, and come let us know what you think. We want to know your thoughts, so I'm looking forward to seeing you there. What's going on, everybody? So I'm not going to technically call this a podcast. This is more so going to be a free agency reaction. We finally got news. This has been absolute insanity. Tristan, it's been a very weird free agency period, but the Browns have made moves. We have technically 6 right now that we can talk about, 3 that we brought back and 3 so far that we've signed, 1 recently. So I can't wait to talk about that. Tristan, let's just start going through it. Let's start with the guys we brought back. Let's talk about the current Cleveland Browns who are back. Center Ethan Pocic signed a 3-year, $18 million deal. That's going to put him at what, 6 per year? Something like that.
Yeah, roughly.
So I've already heard your thoughts on this because we had an interesting space debate about it. But go ahead and let everybody know your thoughts on Ethan Pocic coming back.
Yeah, so for anybody who wasn't tuned into the Twitter Spaces on Monday night, I'm not going to say I'm not a fan of the signing. I felt as though the cap that we've spent and the resources that we spent, the money that we spent towards our offensive line, I felt like it was pointless to kind of bring him back. I think that, let me state this first and foremost. He's a talented center. Okay, we know he can play at a high level, but we only set for half the season. And all the years prior to this season, he was not good. He was not good at all. And just such a coincidence, he is between 2 of the best guards in the NFL. And now he's shown up and he's an all-pro guy, arguable all-pro guy, I'll say. I just felt like the money was better spent elsewhere. I think that we could have tried to find another Ethan Pocic this offseason where, we sign a guy who gives Nick Harris competition for that center spot, and one of the 2 claims that they're perfectly fine battling it out for that role. I felt like the $6 million could have gone to getting another rotational D tackle, which we still might. And maybe when the finished article comes around, maybe I'll have different feelings about it. But for me, I think it's paying a guy money that he really only earned in half of a season. And while it was a fantastic half of a season, and I hope he proves me wrong, I hope he goes out next year, lights it up over the course of this deal, proves me completely wrong, makes me look like an idiot. I hope he does that. But it's just for me, like we'll get into this guy later, but we just signed Juan Thornhill for $7 million per year, which so that's like the type of money that we gave this guy. Like obviously not high end starter, but like we gave him solid money for a position that I think really we didn't need to invest more into, especially with the 2 guys next to him. But with that being said, I hope he proves me wrong. So Derek, I know you have the complete opposite feeling of me. You think this was an amazing signing, and listen, I hope it is, but I don't know. I just felt the resources could have been better used elsewhere.
Yeah, for me, I think the Ethan Pocic re-signing was more of a just keeping the camaraderie type thing for me. Yes, it is a risky move to extend a guy who has proven himself based on half of a season, but at the same time, I think the thing for me is I expected him to actually get a lot more money given what the center market has gone for. So the fact that you're getting a guy who has, first of all, he started before in the NFL, so he has experience starting. So this is not a situation where you're handing the keys over to a Nick Harris who is going to be his first time starting. So I like the fact that Ethan has that veteran side to him. I think there's no reason, in my opinion, why he couldn't perform the same that he did when he played for the Browns this past season. That's why I like it. And Tristan, there's a common theme that I'm going to hit here, and you're going to see it throughout this entire Browns free agent signing, and that's the 3 to 4 year plan. And I find that very interesting. So for me, looking and we'll get into this later, but Ethan Pocic 3 year deal. Okoronkwo, which I can't believe I just pronounced that with no problems, 3 year deal. Dalvin Tomlinson 4 year deal. Juan Thornhill 3 year deal. So that 3 to 4 year plan has been the common theme with Andrew Berry so far. Them seeing Ethan Pocic as a guy they can keep around, I think is really interesting. So yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all just because I think it is good value for the market. And yes, it could have been money spent elsewhere, but Tristan, like I said in the Space Monday, for me, I'm a big fan of Nick Harris, but I, first play you get injured that bad, I just can't rely on you. And I think Posick is somebody who, we bring back on a cheap deal. There's no reason that I think he's going to have a dip off in performance. That's just me personally, and that's why I'm okay with the deal. But moving on here, the Browns brought back linebacker Sione Takitaki on a 1 year deal worth up to 2.5 million. Tristan, this is the one I'm most excited about bringing back. But what's your thoughts on Sione Takitaki?
Consistent, reliable. You know what you're getting from him down to down, game to game. I mean, he had flashes last season where, like, wow, what a player you see there. And so to bring him back on a 1 year deal, for as cheap as it is, I mean, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. The fact that we kept a quality linebacker, that we know what we're getting from down to down, play by play, it's a good thing to have. You know what you're getting with Sione Takitaki. You're going to get the effort. You're going to get reliability. You know what you're getting with him. Is he going to be the stud that makes a play every game? No, that's not him. But he is a guy who is a solid football player. And, quite frankly, you look at the other guys we brought in, the other guys are solid football players too, and we spent a lot more money because it was a bigger need. The fact that we got him for as cheap as we did, to retain him, a guy who's been here, kind of knows what it's like playing with some of these guys. It's a great feeling, and I think he's gonna have a great year. And honestly, he's probably gonna. Honestly, if this team performs how I think they will with Jim Schwartz as their defensive coordinator, I don't think there's a shot that we retain him next year, honestly, because I think he's a talented football player, and you're going to see it in this defense this next year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the reason why I'm most excited about him coming back is just what you mentioned, that Jim Schwartz factor. I think Sione Takitaki is, we've seen it historically with Jim Schwartz. He finds different ways to use guys. I think Takitaki is a incredible mold of clay for or ball of clay for Jim Schwartz to mold. This is what I was trying to say. And to your point, he has shown very good flashes. I mean, there's been times throughout his time here in Cleveland where it's like, whoa, hey, we got something here. Sione Takitaki's a dude. And it hasn't been super consistent, but at the same time, the conversation that we're going to have is under this new defensive scheme, where do guys fit in? Taki is one of the guys, and I'm not just saying this because we re-signed him. I'm saying this, Tristan. We talked about it way back when we got Jim Schwartz. Taki is a guy that I think is going to tremendously improve under Jim Schwartz because of how he's going to be used and in his time, how he's going to be used. Because I don't see him as an every down linebacker, but when Jim Schwartz decides to use him, I think he's going to put up great numbers because of what we've brought in. So again, a dirt cheap, pennies on the dollar deal for a guy who's shown flashes, and I think he's going to massively improve. I like it a lot. I think it's a great bring back for the Browns. I'm very happy to keep Taki around. Moving on, the last one the Browns brought back AJ Green, cornerback, who is a UDFA signing for the Browns out of Oklahoma State. 1 year deal. I could not find the money on this, Tristan. I don't know if you know it, but it's dirt cheap.
It was like 2.6, a little over. Dirt cheap deal, more than Sione Takitaki.
Yeah.
As weird as that is, which just shows how great that Takitaki signing is. Yeah, I mean, it's a unique thing with him. He's a guy that we have seen, and when we've seen him, has looked great. But because of the talent that's been in front of him, he's really only been able to kind of come in flashes. But those flashes we've seen have been really promising, really good. And I'm really intrigued to see how Jim Schwartz uses him. Is he going to be the type of guy that we lean on a little bit more when we're playing cover three? Is he the type of guy that we could see on the boundary and we move somebody else back for cover three? Is he going to play this? Excuse me. Is he going to play the slot? What you've seen out of him has been solid. It just hasn't been a big sample size, and honestly, if I was his agent, I would be trying to move somewhere else because there's just so much talent in front of him. It's hard to see where he's going to get on the field, but that quality depth is absolutely what you need for a championship team, especially at a cornerback position. So he's very vital to our success. Because you never know when we're going to lean on him. You can almost guarantee Denzel Ward's going to get hurt at some point this year and be out for a couple of games. Greg Newsome, for the most part, has stayed pretty healthy. He's maybe missed a game here or there. Nothing I can think of like too extended off the top of my head. Martin Emerson just got here, so it's going to be unique to see what type of role he takes up in this Jim Schwartz defense and how much he actually plays. But like I said, when he's been in, he's looked great. So, Derek, AJ Green, man. Anything else you have to add?
I wanted us to draft him when we got him as a UDFA. I thought he was going to be like a 4th, 5th round pick, honestly, because maybe I just saw more out of him than clearly the NFL scouts did, but I was blown away when he was a UDFA signing, and I loved it. And so far in Cleveland, he's been very good for the role that he's had. He's been very good. And again, you just mentioned it, depth. Corner is a depth position. You have got to have depth. And AJ Green, I think he's somebody, first of all, he's going to play a really good role on special teams, which he has so far in Cleveland, and he's done very good at it. So that's another bonus to bringing back AJ Green. And as far as the depth goes, he's somebody that I can trust. If he's in a game and somebody's hurt, I can trust AJ Green. I think how you use him, it's up for interpretation. I think he can play in the slot. I think that's something he could do, but I also like him on the edge, on the outside. I think he's versatile. And that's really what I like about AJ Green. He's a fill-in starter, special teams corner who is very good for a 1-year deal, super cheap. I love it because this gives you some wiggle room as far as bringing in more depth in that position. You don't have to worry about who your 4th corner is. It's AJ Green. So again, depth chart wise, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, AJ Green. That's a hell of a 4-corner group there. And you can fill in the rest however you need. That's how I feel about that. So Tristan, let's move on to the new Cleveland Browns, the guys we're welcoming in free agency. It took a while for these 3 to get here. And obviously we're probably not done, but just where we're at currently, the first signing for the Cleveland Browns, defensive end / outside linebacker / edge / pass rusher, whatever you want to call him. Obo Okoronkwo. I'm going to have to get used to saying that name. I think that was pretty decent, but I'm calling him Double O. That's what I'm going to roll with. But Tristan, he signed a 3-year deal worth $19 million, $12 million guaranteed. The deal's worth up to, I think, 22, but 19 is the base with 12 guaranteed. What do you think about this? Because this is an interesting one. This is really interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you ask your analytics community, how do you feel about Obo Okoronkwo? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, it's going to take me a minute.
I told you. Whoa.
Absolutely. Yeah. Double O. He really should be wearing number 7 this year. 007. Give it to me. But in all seriousness, though, if you ask your analytics guys how they feel about this signing and how they feel about this guy, they're over the moon. This is a guy that created a lot of pressure and a lot of pressures on the quarterback this past season with the Texans, and he was kind of their stud pass rusher. I mean, he was really, really good. Let's start off at the beginning of his career. He began his career with the Rams as a 3-4 outside linebacker. And then, at least from my understanding, again, I've done research on him, but it's been hard. I've got a full-time job. I know you do too. But from what I understand, he switched to Houston. Houston had him in the 4-3, and his speed and his hand technique and his quickness has been his main asset that tackles have been having a really tough time dealing with. And when you look at his highlight tape, there's a lot that jumps out on the tape that, like, hey, this guy's promising. This guy's very promising. He has flashes that he looks absolutely fantastic. I'm sure there are downsides.
Speed. That's all I see. I love it.
He is insanely quick with his hands, quick with his feet. Quick with his hips, quick with his motion, everything. He is quick. And, it's interesting because it's like you look at your Isaiah Thomas that you have in the defensive end room where he's got power. You've got Alex Wright, who's got the size and the frame. And now you've got a guy who's pure speed. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how Jim Schwartz uses those three in rotation. And I'll be interested to see, and this is less of Obo, but I would be very interested to see, like, say he kicks Myles Garrett inside because he has a favorable matchup with Myles Garrett at D tackle. I mean, it opens up a lot when you have extra depth at the edge position. And that's what we added. We added quality depth at that position. And I'm really hopeful that this is the guy that they line up opposite of Myles and he's actually able to generate pressures. I'm talking 8 sacks is what we need. 8 to 10 sacks. 8 to 10 sacks. And I look at his skill set and I say, absolutely, he could. And another thing that excites me about him is he is a really good run defender. It's one of the things that has been kind of understated about this signing as well. He is good against the run. And it's because of his athleticism. When he realizes where the running back is going to go, he's able to, take those steps quicker because of his athleticism, and it allows him to not necessarily have to be on top of it mentally, but he still is a lot of the time. So, excited to see what happens with him. Very, very potential player. I think this one, and we're going to talk about our other signings here. This one has the potential to be either the best signing by a mile or the worst signing by a mile. And I don't know whether that excites me or if it scares me, but we're going to pray for the best.
There you go. Yeah, I could not agree with you more. That's why we work so well together. We think the exact same for the most part. I'm going to have to get used to saying his name, so we'll give it another shot. Obo. Oh, damn it. I was fine. Never mind. Double O. I think, Tristan, this is like you hit the nail on the head. This is the most boom or bust signing that the Browns have made, because this has potential to be an elite signing, right? He's a name that is so under the radar and overlooked. It's kind of incredible to me because Myles Garrett and Obo are top or 3 and 4 in pass rush win rate. And you look at the guys on that list, Max Crosby and guys like that. It's not scrubs, Nick Bosa. So the fact that you now have not one, but two elite pass rushers in the NFL it's crazy. It's literally insanity. For the price that they paid, 3 years, 19 mil, only 12 guaranteed for a top 4 edge rusher as far as pass rush goes is crazy. I cannot believe Andrew Berry pulled off a deal like this. Like, it is an analytics deal. You're correct. But also you hit on it. He's not just a pass rusher. When you look at his highlights, he's pretty decent in run defense. He's got that speed and athleticism. And if you watch any of his highlights, you'll notice he's got a killer spin move. He can burn you off the edge. And, we've talked about this for how many years now. Myles Garrett always seems to be this close. And if he just had a guy that could get that extra step and help him out, how many more sacks would Myles Garrett have? I think that's what this signing is. I think he is somebody who it's interesting because his contract is a situational pass rusher contract. It's not a full-time starter contract. But you mentioned it, and many others have as well. This seems to me like it's going to be a defensive end opposite Miles by committee. I think that's a really good idea because with Okoronkwo, there we go. You got the speed guy who is just fantastic, fantastic burner off the edge, right? So there's your pass rusher. Alex Wright is fantastic at setting the edge. He's more of your Jadeveon Clowney mold, right? And we mentioned that when we drafted him. So as far as run defense goes, I think that's what you're going to see. You're going to see Alex Wright in there. You also mentioned it there with Isaiah Thomas. Now, that
Yeah.
could be very interesting if you have Obo, Miles on the inside with Dalvin Tomlinson and
Isaiah Thomas or
Isaiah
Alex Wright. Yeah.
Thomas. There we go. That rotation of guys is very interesting. And I don't think the Browns are done at edge either. I could see them going out and adding somebody else, whether it be a cheap guy, cheap vet, excuse me, or another draft pick. That defensive edge room is very interesting, and I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, yeah,
Um,
you've four guys that you invested good money into. And real quick before we move on, there was something else I just kind of thought of as I was kind of sitting here listening to you talk about Obo and the possibilities with using him. Imagine if we kicked Miles inside and put Obo next to him. You know they're going to double Miles Garrett. So what does that mean? They're going to throw the guard in the center at him. Wait, or they're going to put the tackle in the guard at him, and Obo's going to go against the tight end. But here's the thing. If Obo is against either the tight end or the left tackle, it's unique because Obo is now on an island with this guy, and because of his speed, I could see it already where the guard in the center push towards Miles, he's on the island with that's tackle. He makes a quick fake to the outside, cuts on the inside. You saw it in his highlight tape. He's very good with his hands and making moves to the inside. I think that's something that the Browns could utilize because of his speed. The fact that, hey, listen, if you're going to double Miles, let's put Miles inside and get this kid on an island with a slow, heavy, big D tackle. I'd be very interested to see if Jim Schwartz was able to utilize that. And I think with him and his unique speed, it offers a lot of options in the pass rush.
yeah, and for those of you who do not know a ton about him, this is a guy who, ironically, another Oklahoma Sooner that the Browns have brought in. Interesting. But he was an outside linebacker at Oklahoma. He was an outside linebacker at with the Rams.
Yep.
And I think he was in Houston as well, right? Or was he an edge?
I think he was a 4-3 edge. I don't think he was a 3-4 outside. But
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Honestly, I don't know Houston Texans football like that. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
But at least that's how I was told. I know, like, as far as the clips I've seen, he's been lined up on the line. So that, I'd imagine that's how they ran their defense, but I really don't know. I wish I knew more.
I think he's going to be a stand-up edge opposite of Miles, which the Browns have not had in a long time. So
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I think for the deal that you got, it's high risk, high reward. Honestly, I'm not even going to say high risk. I think it's low risk, high reward because the price tag for an edge is crazy, especially in the list of names that he's in. Like, that's insanity. So honestly, I think this is a great signing. I think just because it was the first signing is why people are disappointed. But, as we go on throughout the season, I think you're going to look back at this signing and say, man, they hit a home run here. Like you said, it's either a strikeout or it's a home run. And if it's a home run, it's it's a grand slam
Grand slam. Yeah,
with everything
exactly.
that we brought in. So, anything else you want to say on Obo before we move on?
Very talented, very, very good potential. Really excited to see what he can bring. But I'm super hype about this guy that we're going to talk about.
Oh,
So ready for this.
yeah. So moving on, and keep in mind, like I said, the common theme here, the 3+ year deals. So Obo's on a 3-year deal. The next guy, Dalvin Tomlinson. So man, when Draymond Jones signed to the Seahawks, when we lost out on Javon Hargraves, the first thing I said was all attention has to be on Dalvin Tomlinson. It makes too much sense. We mentioned it here when we talked about the links possibly in free agency with Kevin Stefanski in Minnesota.
Mhm.
Tristan, I will let you go first. 4-year, 57 mil, 27.5 guaranteed. The Browns' big money goes to Dalvin Tomlinson. Talk to me.
Out of all the free agents Kevin Stefanski signed, he's paid his D tackle the highest, and I cannot be happier. like, honestly, I before when we were making our off season like predictions, for me one of the things that I personally thought was that Andrew Berry was not going to invest a lot into the D tackle market. That's why I thought David Onyemata was more of what we were looking for, because I was expecting him to get like a 1x8, 3x36, like 8 million AAV is what I was thinking about.
How about that? 12 mil per year for him.
But
That's
but
crazy.
here's the crazy thing: the difference between him and Javon Hargrave, honestly, in my opinion, it is not $8 million worth. Javon Hargrave, yes, he just he went to the Super Bowl, and he was a great defensive tackle for that Eagles team. But Dalvin Tomlinson, man, he's a hell of a football player. Instantaneously, the biggest guy on our team, weight-wise. 325 is what he weighs. He's a 325. I think he's like 6'4", massive body. Historically, a fantastic run stopper. You look at his analytics from last year, you'll say, hey, that's a down year. That Vikings team was terrible against the run.
It was terrible across the board.
It was not his fault. And historically, he's been fantastic against the run. And this is a guy that is going to eat blocks. He is going to take up space. He is essentially what we should be looking for when it comes to a guy up the middle that is going to stop us getting bullied like we did last year. I mean, there were straight up times last year where our guys were going back 5 yards on that D line, getting knocked on their ass, while running backs were going untouched until they got into the secondary. Our poor linebackers were practically the defensive line, the way they got teed off on by guards. I mean, like, it was brutal. And this guy is going to, if not entirely fix it, he's going to be a much better player and a much better step in the right direction towards fixing it. But he's super excited. And the interesting thing about his deal is, pretty much only half, which means if it doesn't work out after 2 years, we release him, and there's minimal cap penalty. And Andrew Berry has done a fantastic job of doing that with guys' contracts. You think Austin Hooper, who we were really excited about, analytically made a ton of sense. The way he looked as a football player coming into Cleveland, but in his time in Atlanta, made a ton of sense. And Andrew Berry still gave him only like 2 years guaranteed. We were able to release him and get cap back. And the same thing happened with JJ3. Very promising player. All of us thought it was a great signing. It was a great move. Didn't work out. And we're getting cap back for it. And it's allowed us to reinvest into this team and not get killed by some of the guys that just didn't pan out. And so Andrew Berry is doing a godsend when it comes to how he's structuring these deals to protect this team in case of these guys with these big contracts don't work out. Dalvin Tomlinson, honestly, I don't see, unless if he gets hurt, which knock on wood, right? I don't see a world in which he doesn't at least improve that defensive line. It's impossible considering where we were last year. Super excited. He's a fantastic run stopper, a good pass rusher. And in my opinion, for some of the money that those defensive tackles went, Draymond Jones getting the amount of money he got, I think this is a slam dunk deal. I think he's a better player than Draymond Jones. I think that age was a factor with Draymond and potential was a factor with Draymond. I think he has a higher ceiling, but Dalvin Tomlinson's a fantastic football player and a guy that we absolutely needed to help solve our issue against the run and not getting bullied up the middle. And sorry, this is going to be my last point, and I promise I'll let you go. I'm just so thrilled about this one. I never thought Andrew Berry could sign a defensive tackle. And, uniquely, I was listening to Quincy Carrier who mentioned this. Like, it almost shows that, like, the thought that we had that Andrew Berry just doesn't value defensive tackle threw that out the window. He's willing to adjust based off of the needs and the wants of his defensive coordinator and his defensive coaches. And Jim Schwartz, one of the first things we mentioned when we signed him, this guy is great at defensive tackle, defensive line. That's what he is good at. And he's great at developing guys in that position. And he needs good players in that position. And we just got one. So I'm super thrilled. I promise I'm shutting up now, Derek. All your turn. You go ahead. Tell me, how excited are you that we've landed a solid defensive tackle in Dalvin Tomlinson?
Oh, dude, let me tell you something. So this was a midnight signing, right? And I decided to go to the gym at midnight. So this happened as I pulled into the parking lot. Let me tell you something. There's no pre-workout in the world that can hype you up more than this. I was elated. This is, and the most understated part of this, and I keep mentioning it every time that I can, the defensive line room as a whole it's full of children. It's full of toddlers as far as the NFL is concerned. Dalvin Tomlinson is a vet who is proven, who is massive. He's one of the best run defenders in the NFL at the defensive tackle position. I mean, we could sit here and, rank guys, but he's up there. And he's not a bad pass rusher either, just at his size, clogging up the middle. He's not a speed pass rusher. He's like, this is not a Draymond Jones, Javon Hargrave signing. This is more so you're going to fix our interior run defense. That's what it is. And for me, what I like about it the most is you can kind of supplement guys in around him, right? He is your guy at defensive tackle, right? This is your guy. And similar to what we're talking about with Myles Garrett, the guy you put opposite of him, you can rotate, right? And that's what the Browns are going to do. They're going to probably bring in a cheap vet or somebody cheap in general, or they're going to sign one, they're going to draft one of the two, and you're going to have a rotation next to him. So we're not going to be talking about Jordan Elliott. We're not going to be talking about Tommy Togiai, Perion Winfrey starting. We're going to be talking about those guys being in rotation. Tristan looks like he just seen a ghost. But
not breaking news for us, actually. Breaking news for one of our rivals, the Bengals. They have landed Orlando Brown Jr. So, yeah, I know. Honestly, I'm not that stressed, really. I think Orlando Brown Jr. is a bit overrated, and I think they probably paid him. Let me actually see. Sorry, breaking news here. 4 years, $64 million. Includes an over $31 million signing bonus, largest ever for an O lineman. Wow.
You know what? Good job, Cincy. Good job. Pay everything you can and lose all of your players. Thank you. Thank you. I like Orlando Brown though. I'm not gonna lie. I like Orlando Brown. So I'm frustrated if you can't tell me throwing a pen.
This is going to be interesting because they got La'el Collins, they've got Orlando Brown Jr., and they've got Jonah Williams. How are they going to, what are they doing? What are they going to do?
Jonah might get moved to guard. Maybe.
Honestly, I would probably move him to right tackle and move La'el Collins inside. Yeah, I think Collins used to play guard, if I'm not mistaken. But sorry, this is
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Bengals guaranteed that he would be playing left tackle. Mike Garafolo just tweeted that out. Wow, perfect timing.
There you go.
Wow. But yeah, So it's gonna be interesting how they sort that out. Their offensive line last year sucked. So I mean, like, and they invested so much into it. So it's like, what the hell? But,
well, they're going to need a new running back because their running back loves shooting at children. So, hey, get you an offensive get you an offensive line. But all right, let's continue on here.
I've got no comment. No
Yeah,
comment. Cincinnati
no
fans don't come for me.
But anyway, Dalvin Tomlinson, long story short, this is your guy. We've got the guy at defensive tackle. You don't got to worry about run defense. Like I said, it's going to be him, and then guys are going to fill in around him. And I'm trusting Andrew Berry to find the guys to fill in around him. So, yeah, this is by far the most impactful signing of the Browns free agency, because this is going to fill a single need that was so massive last year, right? We saw it. How many teams just ran right up the middle on us? Not going to be able to do that. So, and it's not that he's going to be the only one, but it's a great signing. So, again, 4-year, 57 mil, 27.5 guaranteed. I think he's going to be worth every penny. And I think you're going to see the best years of his career because, yeah, he's had Danielle Hunter, he's had other guys, but not Myles Garrett. So, anyway, moving on to the latest signing. The Browns finally get themselves a safety. And I want to go on record. Again, I will not back off of I wanted CJ Gardner-Johnson. I'm not going to back off of that. I will stand by it. Obviously, we're not getting him now. But I'm not going to sit here and lie and pretend that he was my first option, right? But 3 years, 21 mil, 14 guaranteed. 7 mil a year for a really good up and coming free safety who is a legit free safety. He's a ball hawk free safety. So
Two-time
Tristan,
Super Bowl winner. Super Bowl winner. And yeah. I mean,
go ahead.
Everybody knows I wanted Jesse Bates. That's no question, no doubt. And I'm still kind of hurt we didn't get him, but also at the same token, I mean, we got we got him for half the amount that we got Jesse Bates. I mean, like half the amount. I mean, it's fantastic value. It's fantastic value. As far as like what we could have gotten as far as value at the safety position, I think we hit a home run. I think we did. I really do.
Hey, we have news.
Oh, what's the news?
I don't know if you saw it. The Browns signed another D tackle, so it's
Wait,
fitting based off the last conversation. It's not a good signing by any means, but the Browns have signed Maurice Hurst, defensive tackle from the 49ers.
Oh my God, no, this is a good signing.
Well, let me clarify what I mean by that. Okay, here's what I mean when I say it's not a good signing.
Did you see this?
It's ironically Brad tweeted it, but
really?
yeah. The reason why I say it's not a good signing, this is not somebody who's going to come in and be like a starting defensive tackle. This is somebody who's going to be in rotation. So that's what I mean.
Wow. Wait, how did I not see this? Wow. No, honestly, so for those who don't know Maurice Hurst's story, this guy was supposed to be a top 10 pick in the year that he was drafted. And because of a heart condition that he had, he ended up sliding to the 4th round. And the Raiders picked him up. This is a guy with a ton of talent. Like in his draft year, like there were people saying like he could be, he could be the next best thing. So really unique signing. I cannot find.
It's a high risk signing because of some of his issues.
Yeah,
but there is a lot of upside.
Yeah,
there is
exactly.
upside.
Exactly. Yeah, there is upside there. And as a rotational defensive tackle, which he will be, that's fantastic. Yeah, I haven't seen any big name
let's be honest here. All right, this is a conversation we're having. Him and Jordan Elliott and Tommy Tokyo, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad. Upside. And I meant to bring this up earlier, and I was gonna bring it up after we talk about Thornhill, but what do we see Andrew Berry doing? Taking shots on guys who were first round talents. We've
Mm-hmm.
historically seen that. And I'm gonna talk about a guy as soon as we get done with Thornhill. But this is yet another example of Andrew Berry taking a flyer on a guy like that. But I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh,
Go ahead.
no, I already know who you're going to say after, too. I already know. I'm going to wait until you say it, but I'm going to know I know who you're saying. And I think you know that I know.
I
Because
don't know.
you've said his name before.
Okay, maybe you do know then.
Okay, I think so at least.
Okay.
Okay, but anyways, let's talk about Juan Thornhill. I want to bring up a stat by Jack Duffin here. So it's a forced incompletion stat. PFF has forced incompletion stat, and Juan Thornhill for safeties forced like 20% is the forced completion stat for him, which is third amongst safeties, which is fantastic. Martin Emerson was 20%, sixth for corners, 19% for Denzel Ward, seventh for corners. Delpit was 14%, which is 12th for safeties. Greg Newsome, 11%, which is 39th for corner. And then he said, for reference, John Johnson was 8%, 47th for safeties. But anyways, yeah, no, when you're talking about Juan Thornhill, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a more value signing, in my opinion. I mean, like with him, he's a two-time Super Bowl winner. He's proven that he's good enough at the free safety position to win a Super Bowl. And the fact that we signed him for $7 million a year, I thought that he was going to be a guy that signed for 10, 11 million a year, because I also thought Jesse Bates was going to get like the 16, 17 million a year, but the safety market was just not that high on these guys, which is fine. But he literally it's very surprising. And the fact that we got him for literally half the amount that we would have had to spend to match what Jesse Bates got is fantastic business. What value we just got there. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I like him as a player, I really do. But the money that we would have to pay for CJ Gardner-Johnson, especially now that the safety market starts to dry up a bit more, it's going to be it's going to be interesting, and I'm very excited to see what exactly we do here with Juan Thornhill, and I'm excited in another way too. We guaranteed the first 2 years of that contract. That absolutely 1,000% means that we are going to be drafting a free safety this year, because Andrew Berry, him, he's clockwork. He's going to give a guy 2 years to develop behind somebody else. It's what he always does. He's going to draft a safety this year, and it's going to be a free safety. I'm telling you right now. It's going to be one of our picks in the second or third round. I'm telling you.
I hope it's not in the second.
Yeah. Why not? Because you want a receiver. I know.
You got to go receiver. You have to. It's not even an option.
Well, let's see how the market shakes out, though. Let's see how the market shakes out. And the other reason why I like the safety signing is it gives you more cap space to put towards the wide receiver position, which, based on the way that the contracts have been structured so far this season, or for this season, I should say, quite a bit of cap space still available. And we only restructured Deshaun's deal. That's the only deal we've restructured, and we still have.
We could restructure Miles too.
We could. But honestly, I don't even think Andrew Berry's going to need to, because the cap numbers are so like pushed down because of what we're doing with the contracts. I think that we could probably make a deal for Brandon Cooks. Now it's seeming more realistic for me, at least. And then you just restructure his deal a bit. Where you give him more signing bonus and drop his cap number this year. I think it's making much more sense now that we could see Brandon Cooks, we could see DeAndre Hopkins. I think it's opening up for us now, because we didn't invest too heavy at edge, we didn't invest too heavy at safety, and we invested more at D tackle than I thought we would, but we got
Not
somebody,
Javon Hargrave though.
not
Not that level.
Javon Hargrave money. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 12 million that we got. It was 4 million more than I thought we were going to spend with D2, you know. And it's for a fantastic D tackle. So I mean, I'm really excited so far how this has panned out. I'm really, really excited. It's starting to come out well rounded. I think we're a receiver signing away from us having an A+ free agency. I really believe that. And if we sign Rodney McLeod to play backup to free safety, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, because Rodney McLeod, I've been on this with him too. He's my new guy. Okay, Jesse Bates is gone. Rodney McLeod is my guy. All right,
It's
Rodney
McLeod season.
McLeod season. But anyways,
Oh man,
Derek, I've rambled so much. Your turn. Tell me about Juan Thornhill.
So, okay, here's why I like it, right? Because again, Jesse Bates, CJ Gardner-Johnson, 1-2. You know, that's the obvious. But the best value get is Juan Thornhill. And the Browns still, I mean, I don't know what this guy just signed for, the D tackle we just got, but before that, we had like 11, 12 mil left, which is kind of crazy in hindsight. But 3-year deal, 21 mil, 14 guaranteed. So essentially, you're looking at a 2-year, $14 million deal, right? But 7 mil per year for a guy who is a winner, won 2 Super Bowls. He's young. He's a ball hawk free safety, which I love ball hawk free safeties. The only downside, and this is why I wanted CJ Gardner-Johnson, is CJ can be a slot corner, free safety, multiple, like he's versatile. Juan Thornhill is going to be a free safety. That's what he is. But if you look at his tape at Kansas or in Kansas City, he is an eraser, which is what the Browns need. They need a guy who can make up for the busted coverages, right? Because the talent that we have, and again, we've talked about it multiple times, Jim Schwartz is going to have a much better usage as far as these guys in the secondary goes, right? You're going to see Ward and man. You're going to see Newsom playing man more, right? They're going to be put in a much better position. But the Browns had to go get a guy that you can trust and rely on to play cleanup duty in that secondary. And Juan Thornhill, he's not as proven or as trustable as Jesse Bates or CJ Gardner-Johnson, but he is on the up, right? This is a guy who has played very well in big time game situations and clearly has, won Super Bowls. So, I think this is a good tie everything together move. I am very, very comfortable going into next season with Denzel Ward, Greg Newsom, Martin Emerson, AJ Green, uh, um, Grant Delpit at strong safety, and now Thornhill at free safety. That is a very good secondary. It's not the same as getting a Jesse Bates or CJ in my eyes, but it's a very, very good secondary. And given the fact that you got a really good, young, cheap free safety who I think is improving more and more, I really do. He has. On a good deal, and you combine that with now you got a great defensive line that you're continuing to work on. The defense, in my opinion, it's not completely fixed. There's some depth problems, but all in all, as far as the starters go, it looks really, really good to me. Now, with that being said, 11 to 12 mil before we sign this guy. So I don't know what he's signing at, but I would guess he probably got a cheap deal, would be my guess. So let's say 9 million left to spend. Again, like I said, Andrew Berry takes flyers on former first round picks. Tristan, can I interest you in a 1-year cheap-ish deal for Devin Bush?
Oh, that was not who I thought you were going to say.
Who'd you think I was going to say?
Paris Campbell.
Oh, no. Well, him too, but...
Wow, Devin Bush? I mean, That's
Think about
interesting.
it.
That's interesting. And here's what I'll say. I would view Devin Bush playing the role I think that JOK is going to play in this defense, where he's going to be asked to
Whoa.
man up on the running
Darius
back.
Slay staying with the Eagles. Did you see that?
Oh, really?
Interesting. Yeah.
Was my Twitter just like broken right now or something? Because I
Must
am
be.
not seeing this stuff. And as far as the with Brad, he is it's 20 minutes gone. He's still the only person that has tweeted this.
No,
And
it's been, More For You has posted it. I think a couple others have as well.
so it hasn't picked up mainstream. Wow. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But as far as
Good
Devin
pickup.
Bush goes, let me tell you why I think it's a good deal. He's somebody who he's got a lot of talent. And maybe it's just because I've watched him at Michigan too. And so I've kind of seen him longer, but he's got a lot of talent. I think he would be cheap. Remember, he had that ACL injury or whatever, and he's
Mhm.
not been the same since. But again, back to this Jim Schwartz conversation, I think guys like Taki, guys like JOK, guys like Tony Fields, even I would throw in there. You throw a Devin Bush in that room, who's a guy who has first round talent, use him in the right way. I think that's a home run. I think that would be a sneaky, very good pickup. But he's young. That's the only thing I don't like about it. I don't like adding a ton of young guys, but
Mhm. No,
interesting, right?
yeah, no, I get what you're saying there. Yeah, man. I mean, Maurice Hurst, still a little bit early about like exactly how we're gonna break down him. Um, you know, it, interesting. As far as Devin Bush goes, I definitely would not be opposed to it. But like I said, I just think JOK is going to play the role that we would be asking him to play. I don't know how that linebacking group would look with
It's gonna
JOK
be different.
and him and Sione Takitaki. I imagine we're probably going to bring back Anthony Walker, which I would like to do that ideally.
Mhm.
I mean, the free agency is far from over, man. I think that we're going to get at least one, maybe two more big signings that really make us happy. I'm really excited to see. I'm honestly, like, I'll be honest at this point, I'm waiting for the breaking news the Cleveland Browns have traded for Brandon Cooks or breaking news the Cleveland Browns have traded for DeAndre Hopkins. Because I think there's a chance we sign Mecole Hardman. I would definitely like it, but I think the money he's going to command, I think, is going to be a little bit more than what the Browns think of his skill set. If it was like a 3-year, 33 mil deal, like 11 million per, go ahead, but it's going to be more than that. I think they should swing big at wide receiver. Now that we've got all these other signings in place and you know what your cap looks like now, they absolutely should take a swing.
So this will be the last debate we have because we're pushing an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna try to have this out tonight, right? I want to get this out ASAP.
Mm-hmm.
The debate with Jerry Jeudy. Now, I want to go first on this. Let me pitch to you my idea. Because I've had this conversation a billion times, and I've said it a billion times in spaces, a billion times on podcasts. The Browns have major long-term issues at wide receiver that they have got to figure out, and you cannot ignore it. So the Broncos seem like they're going to trade Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton. I'm a big Courtland Sutton guy. I don't know why people don't like him. I think he's a stud. Does he fit what the Browns need? Not necessarily, but I'm looking big picture down the road for Courtland Sutton, why I would do that. But let's just talk about Jerry Jeudy here. All right. So I think he's got 2 more years. He's got 1 year left on his rookie contract and then the 5th year option. Hypothetically, Would you rather the Browns trade 42 for Jerry Jeudy, and then you would have him for 2 more years on a cheap deal, and then you could extend him if you needed to? This is a first round pick, one of the most talented route runners, a guy who is very, very great at Alabama. I loved him coming out of the draft. I thought he was spectacular. I think he's been in a bad spot, in a bad situation in Denver. I really think he could blossom with Deshaun Watson. I think it would be a very, very good pairing. Would you do that for 42, or would you take a flyer on a receiver in the draft? And let me again, I just want to say this. I am fine with either. I love guys in the draft, and I also would like Jerry Jeudy. So I think this has been a really hot debate on Twitter. People saying Jerry Jeudy sucks. I don't think he sucks. I think he's been a little bit injured and in a really bad spot. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think he's been underutilized. I would 1,000% trade that pick. You know, I'm going to use a reference here. You know, like, would you rather take this brand Tesla, or would you rather take mystery box? Oh man, I'll take the mystery box. It could be anything. It could be a Tesla. Like really what you're hoping you get from that second round pick is a guy who is of Jerry Jeudy's caliber. It could just be that I like Jerry Jeudy like you. I think he would be a very unique add to this team because he offers a different dynamic than what our current receivers have. And I 1,000% would be interested. I would do that all day, every day. I think I would prefer Brandon Cooks just because I think we're past the point of taking a flyer on a guy who has the upside, more so proven commodity. And that's why I actually think Jerry Jeudy over the draft picks. The draft pick's completely unproven. We at least know Jerry Jeudy has talent that's good enough to at least be a good receiver in the NFL. The other thing is, I think the Broncos are just doing it because they know that they screwed up with Russell.
And they need picks. Yep.
They need picks. Yeah, they need first round picks. So I think they're going to hold out for, even if it's a late first. It's just,
they're not going to get a first for
and
Jeudy. There's no way in hell they're getting a first for Jeudy. That's why I think 42.
I agree with you, but I think somebody could be an idiot, and that's what they're hoping for. Somebody could be ridiculously aggressive, like a rebuilding team that has their quarterback situation kind of figured out. Like I would say, after the Texans trade Brandon Cooks, and they're gonna land one of Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, they could make a deal like that. Like, because I think they've got our first round pick this year or our first round pick next year they could shed, which in that case, it makes sense for them because it's a flyer on a talented guy and you're giving up a first round pick that is middle to late first round pick. Hopefully it's late, hopefully it's the last pick in the first round.
That would be great.
That would be fantastic. I would love to have the Texans have the last pick in the first round that isn't their own. That's Cleveland's, But anyways, I think I'd be more interested in Brandon Cooks. Long story short, but if it,
let me
if it,
rebuttal
if,
on that real quick. Here's why I would risk Jeudy over Cooks. Personally, it's the age thing. Again, I've said it many times. I think long-term solutions at receiver need to be found. I don't view Brandon Cooks as a long-term solution. I view Brandon Cooks as a 3-year solution, which would be good. I'm not opposed to that at all. Don't get me wrong. I would, if the Browns trade for Brandon Cooks, like a third or fourth round pick for Brandon Cooks, I would be elated. But if the Browns trade to 42 for Jerry Jeudy, I would be elated for a different reason because you got 2 free years essentially of a first round talent wide receiver who's a great route runner, which by the way, you put him in the room with Amari Cooper. How much better could he get? I think doing that and then you could potentially have your long-term number one receiver, and then you fill in around him. I would go with that more than Brandon Cooks, unless you're planning on Brandon Cooks and draft at 42. If it's trade a third or fourth round pick for Brandon Cooks and then draft at 42 as well, I'm cool with that. If it's trade 42 for Jerry Jeudy, I'm cool with that. They have to do something, is the point.
And I guess part of the reason why I'm more for Cooks than I am Jeudy, I just don't see Jeudy going for just a second in 42. Let me tell you this, if it does happen, I'll be ecstatic over it. And if you could guarantee me Jeudy for the second and it would be Cooks for like a third and a late round pick next year, then I probably would go Jeudy in that case. I just think he's going to be getting bigger offers than that. I really do. But it certainly is interesting. I mean, what didn't the Steelers get a first for Chase Claypool?
No, they got
I thought they got a first.
No, they got a second.
Nope.
They got a second.
But it was the Bears' second. It's practically a first.
Which is robbery. Why the Bears gave up? Whatever.
Listen, Chase Claypool has.
They made up for it. They made up for
it. They did make up for it. Yeah. Oh yeah, they landed DJ Moore and 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. Oh my god, amazing business. I could not believe that deal. Because wait, who has the first pick now? Carolina
Panthers. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What do they have?
DJ Moore's there.
They have nobody now. I mean, they just signed Miles Sanders, which is a really good signing. I like that a lot. So I think that's a good signing. I heard earlier today Adam Thielen tied to them potentially, which would be fine. But I mean, come on, you're bringing a rookie quarterback into a bad spot. So, and you just gave up whatever, dude.
Oh, sorry, I have not been on Twitter at all today. I worked this 12-hour shift. I see what you're saying. Ben Albright said that the Browns are among the teams interested in Jerry Jeudy. Oh, wow.
He said that the Browns are number one at some point.
One?
Yeah. He said they're aggressively pursuing Jerry Jeudy.
Listen, let me say this right now. I will be excited if we get Jerry Jeudy. Just because I said Brandon Cooks over him does not mean I would not be thrilled. I would be ecstatic with Jerry Jeudy, especially with the idea, like you said, of him being a long-term solution there and learning next to Amari Cooper and eventually taking over from Amari Cooper.
That's how I see it. I see it as that's Cooper's replacement.
Yep. Wrong pipe.
But, yep. All right. Well, we should probably wrap up here. I gotta go to the bathroom. I got stuff I gotta do. And we've been going for an hour now. So this if you're seeing this, there's no way it's going out tonight. It'll be out probably 1-2 in the morning. So, but definitely excited. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And I got to say, the Patriots had the best wide receiver deal bringing in Juju Smith-Schuster. I got to say.
I cannot stand Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm sorry. One player in the NFL that I cannot stand, it's him. I'm sorry.
It's ridiculous. He goes out of his way to say how loyal he is to Steelers fans, joins the Patriots that beat them in the playoffs the year before, and then goes to the freaking Pats, the number one rival of the Steelers, the number one team. Oh, I love it. I love it.
He's a clown.
Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. But okay, yeah, you're right. It's time to go.
Yeah, have a good one, everybody. We will we'll keep in touch. Probably have another one out early next week, maybe. Do a lengthier podcast.
Yep.
Possibly have a special guest, which I need to talk to Tristan about. We'll see. Or not so special guest. Because he's I ain't gonna give hints. But anyway, have a good one, everybody.